I just wanted to show you a few different tricks in Illustrator in case you're having any difficulties getting things sorted. So I've got on screen here a basic template, so you can download those. I've got 3 different ones you can use if you're stuck. They're just on the tree pages. But let's have a little bit of a look. There's a few things today that I think you might find useful, so let's just have a run through those. And I think one of the things that we'll have a look at is this properties down here, so we can size things up correctly. Another thing, it's important to be in the right screen or mode as well. So I think that you'll find that probably the best one is Essentials Classic. So if you click on over here, you'll see that it just brings up Essentials Classic. Select that one. So you'll find if you change this, that it'll change the panel layout of the different tools. So Essentials Classic basically gives you kind of like just a really good selection of different tools that you can use. And you can stack them up as well. I've got heaps of different ones stacked here as well. And let me just get back to my file I was working on, which is the template here. Okay, so let's have a look. If you're, once you've worked out the size of objects that you want to put into your package, you'll be able to work out your package size, and I know plenty of you have been mocking those up, which is fantastic. What you can do when you need to get a specific size for something, we can click on an object. So I'm using my black arrow, which is the top one here. You can also use the V key as the shortcut to give you that arrow. And you'll see here under properties, we've got the width and the height. Now, if you haven't got properties showing up at the moment, you can just come up to window and come down to properties and check that, and your window, and this will appear, okay? So the good thing about this is we can see now that it's giving me the dimensions of the object. Now, one thing to be aware of, you need to make sure that we're in millimeters to do this. So we can go Illustrator Preferences and we can go to Units and just check that if you come down to Units here, which I'm clicked on now, make sure this is set in millimeters. Okay, that'll make your life a lot easier as well. Okay, so we'll go OK to that. So if we need to change the size of this object, you can see here I've got X and Y, that's the location on the sheet, and W and H is width and height. So I can just click on one of these, and I might want to change this to 100 millimeters. I just type in 100 and it'll change the width to 100 wide. Okay, so that makes it really easy. When you're moving objects around, you'll see that they'll kind of auto snap to other objects. So that's good. That'll help you to get some accuracy. Now you can use your command plus and minus to zoom in and out, which is pretty good. But if you're finding that that's a bit cumbersome for you and you don't like that navigation method, there is under window, there is a navigation one that we can use, and it's called the navigator here. So I'll just click on that and it gives me this little window, and it can help you to sort of maneuver around if you want to. You can resize it a bit if you want to make it bigger. And so what you can do is you just, let's zoom in a little bit. It gives you this little red square, and you can move that red square around, and that's basically the area that you can see on screen. And it's also got a little, you've got the ability to go bigger and smaller using these little mountain icons. They're pretty good. Or there's a little drop down which gives you a range of different zoom in levels as well. So the navigator, you might find that's a good way to go when you're working, okay? A couple of other things people have had questions about. How do I change the colors of things? So when I select an object like this, it's got, and actually this one's grouped together, so I'll just ungroup it. When I select an object, you'll see that it's got 2 colors over here. We've got our fill color is the solid panel, and the stroke color, which is the line around the outside, is giving us the info about you know, what color that is. So we've got a black stroke and a aqua fill. So if I want to change the fill color, I can double click on that and it'll bring up the color picker, and I can set it to a different color. I can slide across, and when I'm happy with it, I can go okay, and it's done. Okay. Obviously we've got this. If you want to change the stroke color, we click on that, and I've got these info panels turned on at the moment. They're a bit annoying, but I just thought they might be a bit handy so that you can see those. If we want to change the stroke, we can always, and if you need to find it, you can find it under stroke here and bring up the panel. And this one allows us to change the thickness of the stroke. So you can see here, I'm upping the thickness here. So stroke gives us this outside. Now, if you're creating your design and you want to have some fold lines, so you know where things might fold, then you might grab this line tool and you might rule across like this. Okay, that's good. I'm holding down shift, make it go horizontal. Now we can see that line's quite thick, so I might pull it down to 1 point. 1 point is a pretty thin line when it prints out. But I've also got this little tag here that says dashed line. I can turn on dashed line, and you can see now it gives me this kind of this dashed line. I can adjust that. I might take that down to say 6 point, hit return, and it gives me just a nice dashed line that I could indicate where a fold might be if people are needing to fold this package before they put food in it to send it off. Okay, so that can be a really good little thing to add a bit of detail. Now, don't forget, another couple of tricky things that you need to do is you'll need to work out where you're going to have holes so that you can attach a line to your package. So I've just drawn some circles, okay, and I can just like set them up where I want them to be. Oops, I'll bring that to the front. So I might have these tabs, say, out the top, and I'm just going to move them into position, and that can just indicate a part that I'm going to punch out. So I might use a hole punch, or I might just use some scissors to cut a hole, or whatever. You know, there's different options for that, okay? So I think that those tools will help to get you going. Another couple of just ones that you might find useful if you've got different objects and you want to stick them together. We can group them so that they move as an object. So I just draw around with my black pointer tool around those objects, and I can just go object, and I can come down to group, and then they're grouped together so that when I grab them, they move around together. So that's a good way to go. Another thing that can be interesting is using the Pathfinder. I can go Window, come down to Pathfinder. And Pathfinder lets me, this one's really good, the Unite. And if I click on that, you can see that everything becomes the one color. And that's because what it did was it took all three parts and it welded them into a new shape and got rid of those transitions where they cross over. So if you need to make a complex shape, often it can be a good way to do something like this. That's cool. And then I might take my arrow here and I might just grab this, rotate this line, set it up here. Okay, and I might use my direct selector, which is the white arrow, select the end, and I might shrink this line down, okay, and I'll just move this over here. And you can see now that I've just created an indicator of, you know, where this tab might fold. So using those is good. Okay, now don't forget, have your packaging in the detail colors of the brand that you're using, but you don't have to create everything from scratch, okay? So if you find a good logo on the web, use that logo. You don't have to build it from nothing. Okay, so hopefully they're just some good tips that'll get you going, and try them out.